Right, let's now bring you our sports interview in this hour. Now, sports fans will not be short of content to consume, starting with the fact that the SABC will be showing all the Proteas matches this summer. And on the soccer field, it is the Carling Knockout semi-finals, which will be live on Saturday and Sunday on SABC 1. And there's also plenty of international rugby as well, with the much-anticipated clash between Ireland and New Zealand happening this evening. And finally, the Springboks will play their opening match of their European tour with a Sunday evening fixture against Ireland. Now, to talk about these sporting events, we've roped in international sports correspondent Zayn Nabbi, who is out in the United Kingdom. Zayn, a good morning to you, and thank you so much for joining us on Sports on Morning Live.
Pleasure to be here. It's nice, it's early, but we have so much to sink our teeth into, don't we?
We absolutely do have a lot to sink our teeth into. Let's start with the cricket, because we look at this Proteas T20 side looking for stability and depth, and many may say India have brought in a much weakened side due to their other commitments. When we look at the South African team, do you think that the hosts can get a morale-boosting series victory here?
Yeah, well, look, I think when you look at the Indian team, they certainly are in transition. There's no Rohit Sharma, there's no Virat Kohli. Both of those players are superstars and were key members for the Indian team that won the T20 World Cup in Barbados. It's the last time they played the Proteas. Obviously, we remember that because the Proteas were in a prime position to win a major tournament, but unfortunately, I don't want to say the Proteas do what they do best, but let's just say the result didn't go our way from a really strong position. However, missing those two colossal figures, I think there are only 4 players from that current Indian team that are coming on tour. It is a very, very different looking T20 team. I should also say that the Proteas themselves are missing a number of players who were part of that World Cup. There's no Kagiso Rabada, there's no Lungi Ngidi, there's no Quinton de Kock, and of course Anrik Nokia. They're all not playing for South Africa. T20 cricket, it's all about momentum. South Africa come into the series having lost 3-0 to the West Indies and drawing 1-1 with Ireland. India, on the other hand, they beat Bangladesh 3-0 in their T20 series. Look, I think what also adds some really nice spice to this series coming up is the fact that the IPL draw is taking place later this month. That means that this is a fantastic shop window for South African players to actually showcase their wares to try earn those lucrative contracts. And of course, it would be remiss of me saying this, India are a box office nation. In 4 games and a week, Cricket South Africa will make 600 million rand for playing this series. No matter how much you cut that, that is a very successful and lucrative week for the governing body in South Africa.
That is absolutely incredible figures. And I mean, we also just look at what they've been able to do, CSA, in terms of their profits over the past year, which is also commendable. But when we look at how India have benefited in terms of their own T20 series, what could you say that we as South Africa can learn using our own SA20?
Yeah, well, look, having your own internal league that is a world leader is certainly going to bring, firstly, the best players to your country. It's going to bring those international talents, but also it allows you to develop your young talents and, of course, your best talents who are at the peak of their powers. So whether it's the SA20, whether it's the IPL, whether it's the Big Bash, these are great competitions that people want to consume. And, of course, your sort of best players, your elite cricket players want to get into because the competition's good, the money's good. And what we've seen is, look at it. I mean, India are T20 world champions. They're pace setters in Test cricket as well as white ball cricket. So you have to see the benefits of that league. And listen, you want great competition. You want to showcase a tournament. The beauty of the IPL is that it is a league that I would say also sort of, it transcends cricket. It's up there and it's well known as the NFL, as Major League Baseball, as the Premier League. It is one of the elite leagues that people follow and want to be a part of.
I want to move on, Zayn, now and touch a little bit on the rugby before we run out of time, because we know that it's going to be the Ireland playing the All Blacks. How do you see that one playing out? Just your quick thoughts on that one quickly.
Look, this is going to be an epic game. It's going to be absolutely wonderful to watch. We know the Springboks and the All Blacks are the rivalry in world rugby, but Ireland in the last few years have been so competitive against the All Blacks. They've won 5 games since 2016, and they are still smarting from that quarterfinal exit against the All Blacks. Never forget how that ended. Johnny Sexton's last game, Ireland world number ones being dumped out of the quarterfinals almost a year ago at the World Cup. Words were said. Johnny Sexton did not like what Rico Ayani told him when he said, and I will not use this colourful language, your career's over, enjoy retirement. There were fisticuffs. Ireland want to get revenge after being knocked out. Ireland want to show that the world number one team, and what better way than doing it against an All Black team that really, Razor Robertson, he was expected to be the saviour of New Zealand rugby. They've looked pretty average this year, and he will need a win to take the heat off. Will he get it in Dublin? I don't think so. I think the Irish come in hot, and I think they win quite comfortably.
Oh, we'd love to see that one. And of course, a lot of talk about the impact on the All Blacks not facing South African teams at franchise level, seeming to have a negative effect on them. But let's move on and talk about the Boks, because they'll be taking on Scotland on Sunday. And of course, the Boks come in as world champions. And Scotland certainly do have a point to prove after being humbled by the Springboks at the World Cup. What are your thoughts on that?
Lots of revenge in the air this weekend, right? Look, well, Scotland, what I will say, they don't often beat the Springboks. In fact, I was there the last time it happened in 2010. So rest assured, I'm not going to bring any bad luck. I'm going to be watching far away from Edinburgh. However, this Scotland team is strong. This Scotland team is settled. Gregor Townsend, the coach, I think he's got the best winning percentage for a coach for Scotland who's been in the role that he has at 62%. There are a smattering of players who have South African heritage, whether it's Duane van der Merwe, whether it's Piers Schoeman, whether it's Dylan Richardson, throw in Hugh Jones, who played Varsity Cup rugby for UCT. And you have a lot of players that maybe make this team feel like a Springbok B team. They know the Springboks well, they know the psyche, and they're going to want to win after what happened at the World Cup last year. Look, I must be honest, the South African team are the best in the world. They play a really physical brand of rugby. Yes, Scotland have somebody like Finn Russell, who is an absolutely amazing fly half. He'll ask a lot of questions. He's actually branded himself the Lionel Messi of rugby, not short on confidence. However, the Springbok team knows how to win. They're experienced. They play the percentages. They've got sound defence. I think in pretty cool climes up in Scotland, in Edinburgh, I think the Springboks will do enough to just overpower Scotland and underlie why they're the best team in the world at the moment.
Zayn, I'm certainly looking forward to that. As you can see, we are dressed in the green and gold of the Bokke, as well as the Proteas here in studio supporting our national teams. Thank you so much for your time this morning. We look forward to catching up with you soon.
No problem. It's going to be a great weekend of sport.
That is, of course, Zayn Nabbi, international sports correspondent, joining us from the UK. Just looking forward to the weekend. And speaking of what we can look forward to in your sports weekend, Carling Cup action. It's the Carling knockout, rather. And, of course, those semi-final clashes will be taking place. It is Richards Bay that will be up against Maikesi on Saturday. And on Sunday, Maruma Gallants taking on Mamelodi Sundowns, determining which two teams will go into the final of the Carling knockouts. All right, so that's a wrap of the sport news in this hour. Let's now bring you your morning headlines.